Wow, what a better time to post a video during a time where everyone is snugged up together during quarantine. For today's video, I have this pre-painted canvas, and for the longest time I didn't know what I wanted to paint on it until recently when I decided to do this small sketch. And I'm sure you can probably guess what I've doodled here, but if you couldn't, I've decided that I wanted to paint Baby Yoda. But not just Baby Yoda. As you can see here, I added a football, a Kansas City Chiefs hat, and then I decided to add some chicken because, duh, what makes Baby Yoda without some chicken? And you can probably already see the other tinier details, but the main reason why I wanted to put in these small details is because this is actually going to be a gift for my best friend. And I love the small details just because it adds so much more meaning into the painting. But anyways, before we can paint said painting, I decided to use his cardboard cutout as a place to put my paints, because as you can see, I don't have anywhere to put my paints. But is it a rookie move to put paint directly onto the canvas? Probably. Am I going to do it again? Maybe. Will it work out though? I guess we'll find out, but honestly it didn't turn out as bad as I thought. But if you thought that was bad, just wait until I start blending in with this hat. So I decided that I wanted to add some dimensions into the hat, but because the paint started drying up, I couldn't really blend as well, and because I got impatient, I started blending things in that shouldn't be blended in, like the black and red, and it just became a really big mess. But on the bright side, look at that green though. And again, because I don't own green paint, I decided to mix my paints of yellow and blue together to make green, and depending on what kind of shades I wanted, I added black or white. And this right here, ladies and gentlemen, was the moment where I knew I messed up. Kind of a little, oh, I dropped in the camera, hello. So I kind of have a situation where I didn't like the eyes, so I'm probably just going to leave it to the very end because I don't know what I'm doing, and I just decided to paint over it in green again because I'm just trying to cover up my mistakes. And after figuring out that I didn't like the way I painted the eyes, I decided to continue moving on with the other details. And not only do I not have green paint, but I also don't have brown paint. So in order to make brown paint, I decided to combine 3 different paint colors. And if I remember correctly, the colors I used included red, blue, and yellow. And as you can see, Baby Yoda's coat definitely took me a fat minute. With the primary colors, I continued to paint his coat a similar musty brown color, but it kind of ended up looking more green since I had more yellow and blue into the mix. As I was painting, I noticed that there wasn't any dimension or a little bit of shading to differentiate the folds in his coat, so I decided that it would be best to add some black paint to add more depth, which you can kind of barely see on camera. I don't know, but whether you can see it or not, I promise you that it's there. As you can see in contrast, I also added yellow to incorporate the highlights. I was also at this very point of the painting process where I also realized the importance of contrast, because as you can see, his hand started to disappear, which is very unfortunate since my intentions was not to chop off his arm like that. Because honestly, Baby Yoda doesn't deserve that negativity. And eventually I got bored of painting his coat, so I decided to move to different areas around the campus to paint the smaller details like this football. I thought it was an adorable personal touch to the painting, as the person that I was painting this for was a huge fan of the Kansas City Chiefs. And it was wholesome seeing them win this year's Super Bowl, hence why there's little details that you might see throughout this video. And of course, I wanted to incorporate Baby Yoda because he's been one of our favorite characters, memes, and inside jokes as of lately. And although they might seem a little random because they are definitely unrelated, I also wanted to add Colonel Sanders and his classic bucket of chicken. There's actually a particular reason why I added this detail, but I think I'll leave that up to open interpretation, because it may or may not be related to the ongoing memes where Baby Yoda loves his chicken nuggets. Also, remember when I told you in a previous video that I get impatient when it comes to paints? Yeah, painting red and white next to each other definitely tested my patience. Oops, my bad. So, while it took me another 5 years to let the white paint dry, I added another layer to cover up my mistakes, and to make the section more opaque. And I guess that's probably a good thing about paints, because if you mess up, you can clean up. At least for the most part. And not only did it take me 5 years to let the white paint dry, but it also took me another 10 to finally reach the top color of Baby Yoda's coat. As I continue to paint, and you will even notice that even when I'm painting, I'm avoiding the smaller, finer, intricate, itty-bitty, minuscule, small details because I'm scared of messing up. But as I'm voicing over this video, I realized that the smaller, itty-bitty details that I was talking about earlier weren't actually as bad to do as I thought. Speaking of smaller details, one of the smaller ones that I did includes this Kansas City Chiefs logo. I know it's just a simple initial, but when you're using paint and the letters were as large as a penny, it became extremely nerve-wracking. Not sure why it became nerve-wracking since I could have just repainted it, but I guess that's just how my brain's wired. Wait a minute. Now that I'm looking back at the footage, is it really the size of a penny? Well, now that we know that important information, here's the other logo that I started on the flag.
It looks so bad.
So, I don't know how I'm going to outline that in black, but we'll see. You know, it's not that bad. But you know what is bad though? The fact that my paintbrush landed in the paint. Guess I gotta clean it now. I like how you can't even see it. Yoinks! Whose idea was this again? After realizing I wasn't satisfied with how the kernel looked the first time, I decided to fix a few mistakes by adding white to the uneven areas. After spending 20 years trying to fix Colonel Sanders, I think he is turning out fine after I did a few retouches on him. And then now we're going to do what we've been dreading this entire time, because I don't know how to do Baby Yoda's eyes, and I feel like Baby Yoda's eyes is what makes Baby Yoda Baby Yoda. So I guess we'll see. This time I outlined it. I think it looks better. Question mark? Though his eyes were the last step to this piece, not only did I paint over my sketched outline, but I also redid the green skin of his face to make sure that his eyes looked more natural. I also incorporated black shadows just below his mouth to create an illusion of chubby cheeks tucked between the collar of his coat. Although some of the tinier details within this painting were more challenging to do, I loved the entire process of creating this piece. I'm not sure if I would necessarily say that this is my best painting that I've done in my life, but I do definitely believe that there's room for improvement, and I'm happy with how it turned out. But with that being said, I hope you're staying safe, and thank you so much for watching!